Thank you all for joining us today. I'd especially like to thank representatives we have here from the Colorado Governor's Office and from some of our congressional representatives here as well. Both of the people here in person, thank you, and also the people that are joining in on our live feed. Thank you as well. My name is John Roth. I'm the Vice President for Business Development for Sierra Nevada Corporation Space Systems. I have the honor of welcoming you all and introducing some of the speakers that we're going to have coming here. Thank you. So for those of you that are not familiar with the Dream Chaser, it's right behind me. This is our flight test article that has flown 2 atmospheric flight tests. Dream Chaser has been selected by NASA under the Commercial Resupply Services contract to perform a minimum of 6 missions to the International Space Station to both take cargo up to the space station and to return sensitive payloads back to Earth, scientific payloads. So we're very proud to be a contractor on this program. And today we have a major announcement, both for Sierra Nevada Corporation and also for the state of Colorado. I'd like to start by introducing our first speaker. The format we'll do here today is we have a few speakers that are going to talk, and then we'll do a short question and answer session, both taking questions from the floor and also taking questions that are coming in over social media. So without further ado, we'd like to get started here. I'd like to introduce the owners and CEO of Sierra Nevada Corporation, Fadi Osman, and the chairwoman and president, Erin Osman. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone, for coming here, our representatives from the state, and Tori, we appreciate you and your team, your members of great team, attending this special event. It's a special day today because it really is, to me, a historic day in our space affairs in the country today, which is very important as we are moving toward more and more commercial space and dealing with national threats and such. So, but I wanted to first formally say that we are so proud and happy to select ULA as our partner, launch provider, for our minimum of 6 missions for NASA to International Space Station. And our first launch is 2021, so we can't wait to have the first successful mission. And we have definitely a unique combination, unique team, because if you look at SNC, we are the only space company that has the best of both worlds, from being a traditional defense contractor as well as being a privately owned entrepreneur spirit company. So because of that, we have developed this Dream Chaser, and with the Vulcan right now, I think it provides a very unique, unusual capability. So there are a couple of key discriminators I wanted to quickly make, because Dream Chaser is really challenging the status quo as a disruptive innovation in the marketplace today. So because it is the only privately owned commercial space plane in the world that exists, that is runway, landing capable, and reusable. So this is very significant because, 50 years after Apollo days, and believe it or not, we are still using capsules with high G entry and splashing in the ocean for our cargo and crew both. So Dream Chaser makes it very unique, coupled with the reliability and reusability and the cost effectiveness of a Vulcan rocket and ULA's capability. It truly provides a very unique capability, different than anything else available in the world today and in the foreseeable future. So the second point is also very important I want to make, because when you really think about it, assured access to space is very critical for NASA and our space customers. So from the perspective of diversification, if you look at our competitors taking cargo up to space, for instance, or even the crew, for the current capabilities, they are using their own capsules on rockets. So it gives us, working with ULA, although Dream Chaser is designed as a rocket launch agnostic space vehicle, it gives us a unique capability and additional diversification and additional assured access to space for our customer, because our customer needs are very critical from the perspective of making sure no matter what happens, if there's any issue with any other providers, they still have separate access and capability to go to space. So this really makes it a very unique team and very, very appreciative, again, for this long time that the ULA worked with us. And we are very excited to continue our partnership way into the future. Thank you, Tori. Thank you, ULA. And thank you for everyone attending here. And I want to make sure my boss is going to have the last word here. So she's, Erin, go ahead.
That'll be me.
You want this one? I don't know if that's working.
Okay, this one is better. All right, I just really wanted to be here. Thank you for all coming here. It's a obviously very memorable day for us. We have been working really hard to get to today, and a lot more exciting milestones ahead of us. But the most important milestone for us was to pick our launch provider, very significant portion of our mission. I just want to thank Tori and his management team, actually, his dedicated management team, for working really hard to provide us a very competitive launch provider contract, and that really helped us to build a great friendship working on that. So we are very, very excited for the journey together. And also, I'm really happy that our technical teams on both sides have been developing a very strong relationship since the beginning of our CRS2 award in 2016. So we do have a very strong background together, and we are just gonna take it to the finish line, and I cannot wait for that day. Tori, thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, can you hear me without it? How's that? Okay, well, I am so excited to be here with you guys today. You know, I think you all are aware this is a very competitive launch market nowadays, and to be selected by SNC to fly this block of missions on our Vulcan launch vehicle is just a tremendous honor, and we are very grateful. But really more important than any of that to us is that Erin and Fatih, you have trusted us with your baby, this amazing Dream Chaser vehicle. We will not let you down. It's especially important to me because I have been a fan and a supporter and a cheerleader of this amazing vehicle from the first moment I saw it. And so to be able to make Vulcan's sort of commercial debut with this block of missions underneath a Dream Chaser is just truly exciting, and it's meaningful to me. My entire design team and all of ULA feels just the same way. And so we commit to you that we are going to bring all of our experience, all of our skill, and our discipline in launching this vehicle to taking your dream to space.
Our dream, together.
Our dream. We've flown 134 times. We have never failed to take our mission to space, and we will not fail you. Thank you.
The best words ever.
Thank you. Next up, I'd like to introduce our program director for the CRS2 program, Mr. John Curry.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Fatih and Erin and Tori, for allowing us this opportunity. This is a big day for Dream Chaser. Tori mentioned this very competitive launch market, and this is our baby. We spend a lot of time worrying about this vehicle and make sure that we do it right. And as you guys know, we have a mission with NASA for the CRS2 program to fly 6 successful flights to the space station and then back to a runway again safely and reliably and complete mission success. And so we take that very seriously, and the rocket is a huge part of that endeavor. And safety and reliability was a major reason why we chose this team and this rocket. I've been working 33 years in the space industry, the first 25 at NASA, in the last 9 years with Erin and Fatih on this, and so I could not be more happy with this choice. I think NASA has got a good capability here. I believe Tori when he says that they're going to get us safely into space and allow us to execute our 6 missions. That is a big deal. From a NASA perspective, we also have the opportunity, the Atlas V that he mentioned, executed many of those 134 missions that he just talked about safely into space. We still have that as a fallback if we ever needed to for some reason. So we have both rockets. We are planning to fly all 6 flights, though, on the Vulcan, just to make sure. So I think that's all I wanted to say was that yes, it was a competitive market, but this was the choice that I feel is best for this program, that I went to Aaron and Fadi to tell them this was best for this program, and I look forward to getting into space in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate the comments. So we're going to go ahead and take some questions from the press, and we'll also be accepting questions via social media if some folks would like to get those in here too. Thank you. Any questions for any of the speakers today?
Just say your name and where you're from first. Hi, Greg Avery with the Denver Business Journal. I'm curious, this launch contract covers Vulcan or Atlas V. It's a ULA SNC commitment more than a commitment to just specifically Vulcan. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the baseline is to fly 6 missions on Vulcan. Atlas is also a backup. We're on time with Vulcan, but if something should arise, we're going to make sure that you fly when you're ready.
Another question?
Lee J. Fingers, NASASpaceflight.com. Do you expect the possibility still to fly Dream Chaser outside of the CRS contract on other launch vehicles for other customers?
I can answer that. Certainly our intention is to fly Dream Chaser on commercial missions as well as NASA missions. It's always been our intent for that to be a commercial endeavor. And we're maintaining the ability to fly on other launch vehicles. We're launch vehicle agnostic. We've said before there's certainly interest from the European Space Agency and from countries that are outside of the U.S., which could mean that we would fly on a foreign launch vehicle, so we're maintaining that capability. Any other questions from the audience or from social media?
All right, this question's from Twitter. Will Dream Chaser be used for transportation of cargo to the Lunar Gateway? To the Lunar Gateway.
Okay, so the CRS-2 contract is specifically for services to the space station. So that's the one that we're doing the 6 flights. But of course, we have that capability. I do think this is a great design that's going to be good for lunar as well. So you can deliver, you still, regardless of whether you're going to low Earth orbit or to lunar distances, you have to have a way to get people and cargo and services into orbit and then onto the Lunar Gateway and then back again. Lunar regolith coming back from the moon and back again. Dream Chaser is core to that and what SNC believes is the right thing to do, to take Dream Chaser to where we can bring the cargo and the crew, because I do think crew is going to come back. To follow up on John's question, we just need to do these crew cargo services and then crew. I believe this is a crew vehicle that you see here. I think that's going to happen. And so if you can get crew and cargo into low Earth orbit, then you can actually transport them, not with Dream Chaser, but we would dock to another system that would take you to the Lunar Gateway, if that makes sense.
Just to add to that, another perspective of that, there are a couple of major RFPs coming up from NASA going to the moon, HLS and GLS, Gateway Logistics Services. So we are looking at bidding on those programs. So there's going to be a significant portion of the same technology reused in these other applications as well. So it's not necessarily Dream Chaser as is, but a lot of the things that we have done here, the things that we have learned, technology developed, is directly applicable to those lunar kind of missions as well.
Thank you. Any other questions from the audience or from social media?
John.
Yeah,
Jay Lindell in the Governor's Office, Economic Development. John, a question on, you talked about crew with the Dream Chaser. All the resupply obviously are uncrewed missions, but how far down the road would you envision a crewed mission, whether Dream Chaser is part of whatever program down the road, but how long would that testing, certification, validation take to make it a crewed vehicle?
Okay, as you probably know, Jay, we started as a crew vehicle under the commercial crew program, and we came very close to winning that contract, closer than most people realize, probably. And I think it's the ultimate compliment that when we lost the crew contract, that the very next contract that came out we won was the cargo contract with the same design and the addition of a lot of key elements like the cargo module and the solar arrays and the extended duration capability. We still have a Space Act agreement with NASA today called the Commercial Crew Integrated Capability Space Act Agreement that we are doing. And we meet with them regularly to talk about what our cargo capability is with the CRS-2 vehicle and then what the bridge would be to the crew vehicle when and if it were to come. So basically, we have, in fact, just because the mice are on here, we have an ECLIS capability, environmental control life support capability, we have thermal control capability. So you could actually, in an emergency even today, bring people down if you had to. I'm not saying that NASA's asked us to do that, I'm just saying that the capability is there. So the bridge to a crewed vehicle is not that far. We would have to put the abort system back in, and we would have to put the seats back in, and we'd have to man-rate it and put the emergency detection system back in like we had on crew. But we work with NASA about that on a regular basis and what the bridge would be to doing that. So it wouldn't be that long to get from the cargo version to the crewed version. I can't give you a timeline because I'm not emphasizing that right now, but the capability is there and we're more than happy to do it, whether it's for NASA or for somebody else. Like Fadi said, this is a commercial vehicle that we think is going to extend, and John said, crewed missions I think are coming. We just have to build it and they will come.
Yeah, I just want to add one other thing again, but if that's any indication, actually I have a microphone. I think NASA, our commercial crew contract is still open and active. NASA left that open. So that gives another vehicle, possible vehicle for looking at other kinds of options as well on the crew side.
Another social media?
Can you explain the docking procedures and what is the timeline on the crewed Dream Chaser?
Okay, so there's docking and berthing. We don't dock right now. We can. We have the capability to dock or to berth. Docking is more for a crewed system where you actually put the two vehicles together. Berthing is when you come up to 10 meters and then let the station robot arm come and get you. So we offered both of those in our proposal, and NASA prefers the berthing option because it provides a larger hull and a larger size so we can carry more cargo to and from the space station. So right now, the plans for the 6 missions is to do all berthing missions. So we could do docking, but I'm going to answer your question on the berthing. So the way the berthing operation would work is the Vulcan rocket will put us into orbit. We can actually go into a couple of different orbits, either 160 nautical mile circular or 180 nautical mile circular, basically, and that's so that we can do the catch-up rate to get to the space station on time, because they want us to actually be like FedEx or Amazon or something, where you got to get there in a certain period of time within 72 hours in the hands of the crew. So that then we just go up the radius vector, go within 10 meters, let the robot arm get us, and then we berth to node 2 nadir. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, another question from the audience.
Lee J. Fingers with NASASpaceflight.com again. Vulcan is obviously brand new, and I'm wondering where along the timeline of flights the first Dream Chaser mission will fall in Vulcan's flight schedule.
Sure. So this will be our second certification flight, so our second flight. We're planning to be ready to fly at the beginning of 2021. We will be available when you guys need us, and so very early, very early. Now, in terms of the parts of Vulcan, if I might elaborate a little bit, we're going to actually sort of fly Vulcan before we fly Vulcan for you. So all of the major elements of Vulcan, its payload fairing, its solid rocket motors, its avionics, its software, are going to be feathered in on Atlas flights between now and then, so that by the time we actually fly for you guys, or even our very first flight, everything but the first stage engine, the new BE-4, will have actually been flown several times.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, social media.
So this is from Jeff Faust at Space News. What are the pricing terms of the contract? Does SNC get a discount for flying the first Dream Chaser mission on a Vulcan certification flight?
So that was from Jeff?
Yeah.
Nice try, Jeff. That's obviously proprietary.
Any other questions?
no others, I'll ask a technical question about Dream Chaser. A while ago, you bought a company called Orbital Technologies, I believe, and I'm wondering if DC is now baselining those engines, and if so, what fuel and oxidizer are you using for RCS in Dream Chaser after that purchase?
You're talking about Orbitech? Yeah, so the system that we use is built by Orbitech, or what we call RBI now, that is now a part of the SNC family. That engine thruster that we're using, I love this design. We have a total of 26 engines, 20 of them on the Dream Chaser itself, the space plane, and then 6 of them on the cargo module on the back end, so you can do translation control. But they're all basically the same capability, and you can do 3 different modes with the same engine. You can do 24 pounds force of thrust, which is like Vernier engines on the shuttle, or you can do 55 pounds force of thrust, which is what we call medium thrust, or you can do the high thrust is 110. Pounds force, and then that is what we use to do all of our operations. So the same thruster placed across the vehicle, 20 of them on the Dream Chaser, and then 6 of them on the cargo module to do the job. And that testing is going very, very well out at our RBI in Madison, Wisconsin, and is on plan. Yes, please.
The non-toxic propellants from before.
Did you want to?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's peroxide and RP1.
As you know, we are also developing upper stage engines with Orbitech, and we believe that they are going to be the most powerful, most scalable, most affordable upper stage engines. We are in the development stages, and our goal one day is to partner with Tori on having those upper stage engines go on the Vulcan. Thank you.
No pressure. That implication here.
Yes.
This is also from Jeff Faust. What vehicles beside Vulcan did SNC consider for the Dream Chaser missions, and what factors led to SNC selecting Vulcan?
I didn't understand though. I missed
What,
it. Can you say one more time?
other options did we look at, and what led to us deciding to pick Vulcan?
So the question was, what vehicles beside Vulcan did SNC consider for the Dream Chaser missions, and what factors led SNC to select Vulcan?
I think ULA had a pretty significant advantage because we have been working with ULA from day one, as I said. So we built almost last 5 years developing the relationship and technical teams working together. And not to mention that we had a really good competitive price. But we had 5 different launch providers that we work very closely with. That's with Japan and Europe, and also obviously Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. They were all part of our just selection criteria, and they all have really good capabilities, and there are a lot of opportunities, global opportunities for UN nations that if they want to use like Europe for their launch provider and utilize Dream Chaser, we will do that. So it's good to build those relationships, but at the end of the day, it was just really both our personal relationships and then the capabilities and competitive price. ULA got the contract.
Of course, track record is important. Like Tori, you said it. It's a flawless track record so far in Atlas V, and that culture is very telling for what can come in the future. So that was a big factor as well.
Thank you. I'd just like to mention we have 1,300 people following us on the live feed today, so that's a really good number. So I would hope we'd get a few more questions via social media. But is there anybody else in the audience here that has a question? Okay. Anything else?
Will it be possible to launch Dream Chaser using Vulcan rocket in a partially reusable configuration?
Yeah, so the concept that we are pursuing for reusability is something that fits in the category of component reuse. So there's glide back reuse like the space shuttle, like this amazing vehicle. There's propulsive flyback reuse like you see on that other guy's rocket. And then there's the third kind, which is to separate the most expensive and valuable parts of the rocket and return them. So our approach to that is something we call SMART, where we will separate our engines and recover those once Vulcan has been fully characterized and we're ready to introduce that. That has one of the unique sort of attributes of not really having a performance impact. When you propulsively fly back, you save propellant in order to fly home with. We're still able to burn to depletion on our first stage, which would be our plan, and it would not impact our performance really in any significant way.
Perfect.
Good. Yep, you have another one?
Are you considering using Dream Chaser for any space tourism purposes?
You can answer.
John can answer.
I go?
Yes, one day.
We can
Volunteer
ask-
tourist here.
Yeah.
I'll just say that right now we're laser focused on our NASA contract for cargo to the International Space Station. Certainly down the road, I think tourism would be a viable use for the space vehicle, but right now it's not. We're not actively marketing a tourism market.
Can you give us an update on how construction of the orbital test vehicle or the orbital vehicle is going?
Yeah, sure. That's going really well, actually. So we completed the system level CDR in October of last year, so we're into the build phase now. So the primary structure of the vehicle, called the Cobond assembly, is built by Lockheed Martin at Plant 34, Plant 4, which is where they have the F-35s in Fort Worth, Texas. That's going to be delivered within the next month or so to this facility right here, to where we can start into the assembly, integration, and test aggressively to support that 2021 launch. So that's going very, very well. The cargo module is actually built by another company called Applied Composites out of San Diego, California. That one is basically ready. They're just doing some testing, and it'll be delivered before the end of the year. So we'll have both of the major elements of the orbital spacecraft here in-house before the end of the year to support that launch.
Okay, any other questions we can answer? All right, well, thank you all for joining us today. We're very excited about this partnership, and we're definitely looking forward to getting Dream Chaser launched in 2021. Thank you very much.